Okay. Setting up your custom streaming service, logging into Zoom. Again, I apologize for that. Let's there we go. Okay. Wow. Thanks everybody for joining us here at the Michigan Music Alliance B-side session on navigating artist management. My name is Nick Thomasma. I am the executive director for the Michigan Music Alliance, and we are a nonprofit organization that provides professional development resources and growth opportunities for the Michigan music community. And so I am excited. We're right in the middle of our spring B-side sessions programming. We had 4 different ones. We'll have 4 more coming at you in the fall. And also, we'll be presenting several of these sessions, and several of our B-side presenters will be at the Music Econ Summit, which is coming up April 11 through 13 in Grand Rapids at the Grand Rapids Center for Community Transformation. This is 3 days of business, networking, vendors, and showcases, all centered around the independent artists working in the modern music industry. And our guest speaker tonight will be with us at the Music Econ Summit, breaking down royalties, royalty collection, and like where the money comes from the songs. But tonight we're going to talk about artist management, which is a wonderful topic that when Carita and I talked about this, I was like, yes, this is exactly the right type of attitude that a manager should have. And now what I want is to show the audience, the artists, what type of attitude they should have when they're working with an artist. So first and foremost, I want to thank our guests who are joining us here on Zoom. Also, I want to thank everybody for watching the live broadcast. You can also watch all of the B-side sessions on our YouTube page, and you can find out more information about the Music Econ Summit and the Michigan Music Alliance at michiganmusicalliance.org. With that said, I'm thrilled to welcome our presenter tonight, the lady with the golden ear, Miss Carita Miller. Carita, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
Great.
Um, so I guess I should introduce myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I've been heavily, actively into music business, I guess I could say, since COVID. I knew a long time ago this was my calling, but um, during a period of COVID, it's just like everything, it was a domino effect. I was doing some music stuff on Facebook, playing around, and then I was asked to be a music supervisor, and I was asked to write a column for a magazine, and I was asked to do artist management and A&R, and I'm like, okay, yeah, to everything. So, um,
Wait, before you move on, I just want to say you said music supervisor, and I'm not sure that everybody knows what that is. Can you explain that real quick?
absolutely. I would be the person who's responsible for selecting music for film and getting that music license, essentially, is basically what it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, people. This is the person you need to talk to get your stuff in film and television.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty cool. I had no idea what that job was, honestly, like anybody else. I had no idea what it was, but I jumped off the porch and I learned it and I fell in love with it. Um, so 13, 14 projects in, I'm like, okay, I got my feet wet with that. I'm ready to move on to a different aspect with that. And so I started artist management. And I don't know, it's overwhelming because I'm completely overwhelmed and in love with my artists, and I think that every manager should be. So I currently have 5 artists that I manage, and here I am, overwhelmed, telling you, like they're all amazing. They all have different styles, and so it's just taking everything one step at a time and seeing where we can grow together.
All right,
So.
great. Well, I'm looking forward to your presentation, so let's hear it.
So with that being said, let's see, let me share. Can you guys see that real good?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so welcome to Navigating Artist Management. This presentation is going to help of you guys as an artist understand how to find and work effectively with managers, whether you're an independent musician or aspiring professional. The right manager can significantly impact your career. And as you can see, the name of my company is CM2 Entertainment. So essentially, why an artist would need a manager, the manager is going to be the person that handles all of the business so that the artist can essentially focus on creativity. That's very important to me. It should be important to every manager so that the artists can do what they came to do, and that's create. I think it's important for the artist to know the business, but as far as handling all of the business, that would be the manager. We take over all administrative and any strategic tasks, which is again going to allow you as the artist to prioritize your music and your artistry. We help with bookings, any contracts, any marketing, any strategy that you need to come up with, any long-term career planning, promotions, we oversee negotiations. In the beginning, when you don't have a team, the manager is the team. So we are your booking manager. We are your um there's different types of managers, gosh, forgive me. So there's booking managers, there's touring managers, there's business managers. Essentially, when you first start and there's no team, your manager is going to act as all of those people, essentially. So a good manager is going to open the door for bigger opportunities. They'll have the right connections and they'll help you secure those major deals, those tours, and those brand partnerships. A lot of artists struggle with balancing the creativity and the business, and that's where the manager comes in at and serves as the bridge between the artist's vision and the industry demands, pretty much. So, from securing the gigs to negotiating contracts, we pretty much ensure that the opportunities are going to align with the artist's career trajectory. And the right manager can be instrumental in evaluating an artist's success. I did a little research here. I was only able to get some information back from 2023, but I found that in 2023, the industry revenue hit $17.1 billion, which was largely driven by streaming, and that landscape has become more competitive, as we all know. So managers would play a crucial role in navigating that complex environment and handling the business aspects again, so that the artist is able to focus on that craft. This is something else I've found, even related to that. As of 2025, I guess I did find something. I forgot. Sorry. I found this in the Music Industry Revenue Report, the RIAA. That's a real good resource that you can find a lot of good industry data in. So this is talking about during the period of February 2025 and the first half, as of 2025, the first half of 2024, during this period, revenue reached 8.7 billion, with streaming accounting for 84% of that total. So that 4 year data hadn't been released yet. And basically it's saying that if the trends continue, that it would reach the 17.1 billion recorded in 2023. So let me close my door. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, so um when you want to start looking for a manager is when you have consistent bookings and income, which is obviously a steady revenue stream that's going to make it viable for a manager to work on commission. I don't know if you guys know this, but managers pretty much work on commission. There is no upfront pay. It's not like a retainer fee for a lawyer. We don't get paid monthly. So it's pretty much between 10 and 20% that the manager will collect on any revenue that the artist is bringing in pretty much. And so when you find yourself struggling with business tasks, when you're struggling with handling the contracts and the marketing and negotiating, that can all be handled by your manager. When you need industry connections to help yourself grow, the manager will provide access to those networks and the labels and the key players in the industry. And if you're overwhelmed by the administrative work, that's where also the manager will come in at. Yet again, I do think that it's very important for the artist to know how to do these things. Number one, we hear a lot of times where um, the artist is not happy with the contracts, or at the end, they feel like they haven't gotten enough money in publishing and this and that. I think when you know the ins and outs of the business, it helps you lessen those opportunities where you would um, run into those kind of things. Timing is everything when you seek a management. If you're consistently generating that income, but again, struggling with the contracts and the networking and the marketing, then it's time to find a manager. But like I said, it's typically a 10 to 20%. So it's crucial that you have a stable financial foundation before you enter into a management contract. You want to give the manager something to work with. Um, okay, so how to find a manager? The best strategies would be networking at industries that you go to that are happening around the event, music conferences. You want to make sure that you're attending those, not just for educational purposes, just also for the networking and meeting different people and somebody who could turn into your manager and different industry professionals. You want to ask different artists that you know for recommendations. They probably would be one of the first routes that I would go, because then they could give you some leads on different experiences that they've had with different managers. Not to say that everybody's experience is going to be the same, but it's probably a good thing to know, and when evaluating who you're going to deal with. You want to research managers of similar artists that have your similar style and your career trajectory. It's important to do that. And research the manager anyway. Make sure you know the manager's background. It could be a friend, it could be honestly somebody that is not well versed in the music industry, but if they believe in you, in your career, and they want to see you win enough, as long as they have the interest, there's ways that they can learn, and along the way they'll learn. You can use different social media platforms. LinkedIn is one of my favorites. I think that LinkedIn provides the more professional people. If that's the best way to say it, I don't know if this is the best way to say this, but I'm gonna say it. I think on Instagram you may come across a lot of um, people who are not actually who they say they are. I think on LinkedIn it's more solidified. Why I feel that way, I can't exactly tell you, but from my own experience, I've come across a lot of industry professionals, and they are exactly who they say they are on LinkedIn. So that's a good resource to use just for your music business across the board, I think. Um, Artist communities, you want to make sure that you're getting out and about in the in the different communities and going to different events that are happening. And like I said, that's where you can probably meet the fellow artists and find out different things about different people that they know about that actually manage these artists. So it's essentially about building relationships. It's not that the manager is for hire. It's a partnership. Just think of it that way. You don't work for them and they don't work for you. Essentially, you guys are both working towards the same goal. And it's for them to have your best interest in mind. It's really never about that said manager. It's always about the artist and never about the manager. Always keep that in mind as well. I think that if the manager has that perspective, it's better. We don't want the manager to want to be the famous one. We don't want the manager to want all the shine when it really should be on the artist. So, um, okay, I've talked about this. Red flags to watch out for. You want to make sure, again, that you're watching out for the artists or the managers that are asking for upfront fees. We only pretty much earn through commissions, not upfront. Lack of industry experience or contacts. Any manager without those connections really can't effectively advance your career. Now, if you guys are growing together, then that's a different thing. You probably wouldn't expect for them to have those said contacts. But if they get out and do the networking, they can get those contacts. So, poor communication and transparency, that's a huge thing. It's Communication is everything, and being transparent is everything about everything. um, I don't hide anything from my artists. We have a note, we share everything together. Anything that comes in, we discuss it. Any questions they have, we talk about it. Um, if they feel that I'm not doing something right or they want to see me do something different, I'm always open to that. I'm not perfect by far. And I do feel like I'm still learning. This is a business that you always learn, you continuously learn because it's continuously changing. So because things are always changing, you're going to always be in that space where you should always be open to learning things. So, being that line of communication and just being transparent with your said manager or with your artist is very important. A clear contract or agreement is also very important. Verbal agreements can really lead to misunderstandings. So, did you remember that I said this, or did you remember that you said that kind of thing? To alleviate all of that, it's best to have everything in writing and just make sure that each party understands every single piece of that agreement and that everybody agrees with it. And then also even with the contracts, be willing to negotiate different things. Be open to um I'm open to changing different things in my contract if it doesn't align with what my artist feels is appropriate for them. I'm open to changing different things that are in my contract. So no one contract is going to be the same for every artist. So when your manager is too pushy or controlling, it's yet again, it's not about the manager. It's always about the artist. So for me, I don't dictate any of the decisions for my artists. I leave everything up to them. Now, what I will do is give them advice on different things. If I think that it may not be a good idea, or why I think it may be a good idea, or um, here's the legal aspects of this and that. But other than that, I leave it all up to them because it's not my vision, it's their vision, and it's just up to me to bring that to life. So, um, what an artist should expect from a manager. Managers should help the artist shape their long-term career goals and navigate industry trends. Managers should make sure that there are favorable deals and that they're protecting their artists' rights. We want to make sure from social media to press coverage that we're helping to boost the artist's public image. If it's anything that's not aligning with the artist's image, then we don't want to do it. It could be anything from a podcast interview. It could be maybe the platform, the past interviews, or what's going on that platform in the past is not aligning with the artist's vision, and they just don't want to do it. It's up to me to make sure that I'm aligning their their image to make sure that it's helping boost them. So even from a sync placement, it could be, if I'm sorry, a movie placement. Let me be clear on what that is. Not all the time, just because it's a movie placement doesn't necessarily mean that the artist is going to want to do that. If they're the actual writer of the song, the one that actually created the work, it could not align with their vision. It could be a sex scene that their song wants to be used for, and maybe they don't want their song to be used in that. So those kind of things, it's important for me to make sure that I'm seeing those things all the way through and that it's aligning with their vision. It's up to me as the said manager until we get a tour manager to coordinate those tour logistics and the scheduling and the financials from for the live performances. The artist, okay, yeah, the artist manager relationship is a partnership, not a boss employee dynamic. Artists should expect um, strategic guidance, contract negotiation support, and marketing assistance. In return, managers expect for professionalism, dedication, and open communication. Mutual respect and clear expectations create a successful collaboration. And that's pretty much with any partnership, as I like to call it. As long as we have that open line of communication, I can't express it enough. That because without you being able to go to your manager and express different things, then uh, who do you have? Who do you have like in real life? They're the ones. So if you don't trust them to be able to tell them certain things, and even if it comes down to them making different adjustments, you guys come if you guys have those conversations to where though they need to make adjustments and you see that they're being offensive or they're not taking it the right way or they're just not making adjustments, then it's maybe time for you to reevaluate the situation altogether. You want somebody who's receptive to everything that you're gonna have to say in real life. Because they're controlling. At the end of the day, they are in a sense controlling your destiny. So you want to make sure that you guys are aligning with everything. As a manager, like I said, you just want to make sure that your artist is giving you a clear artistic vision so that you know what to do for them. As the manager, you want to make sure that they're dedicated, that they have the work ethic so that you're not having to push them to do the work. That's the worst thing that you want to have to do as a manager is push your artists. You can't really want it more than they want it. So and for me, that's my dead motivation. To see my artists want it and really working for it it motivates me more than anything. And without that, I have no motivation, unfortunately. That professionalism and being reliable is really important. Being on time to shows, being on time to podcasts, interviews, virtual interviews, anything, just showing up on time for the artist. It's very important. It's very important for the production. Now, I know my artist doesn't always show up on time. And that's something that we're working on actively. But it it can get pretty frustrating when they are not on time. For me, because it's like, okay, because I also know this from the production end. And it's, I mean, we have things lined up the way that we have it for a reason on the production end. So being on time and reliable as an artist is very important. Making sure that you're willing to collaborate and take that advice. um, don't be so hung up on everything that you just want to do the way you want to do it. Be open to listening to doing things different types of ways. That could definitely help. Being strung up on what you want to do all the time and not being open to different pieces of advice from especially from people who have been doing it and who have been down the road that you have been. It could really save you a lot as an artist, just being open to listening to what a lot of people have to say. Not always taking the advice, not always. Now, you have to use your discernment, of course, but just be open to listening to people. I know this isn't the kind of industry that you can always trust what everybody has to say, but being open to the conversation and just listening is a great idea. The collaboration part that could go across the board when you're collaborating with different artists. That could do a lot for you as an artist itself. Just opening you to different um, regions, different platforms, different styles of writing. When you write with different artists, you learn different things from that, different styles of recording, and all that helps when you collaborate with different artists. And then the financial transparency, especially, is very important. When I'm asking my artists consistently, what kind of budget do you have to work with on a monthly basis? That's really important for me to know so that I am able to know what I can and can't do for that month. It's not really the manager's responsibility financially, to be honest with you. Now, if that's in your agreement, then that's different. But um, when you study a manager, it's really not their responsibility to be to invest into the artist. That would be the said record label. So just having that transparency with your manager and letting them know what your budgets are and what you are able to do and what you're not able to do as far as putting money towards your career is very important because that's the marketing and that's the advertising and that's the promotion and that's the different things. That's the branding and that's the phew, that could be the we might need to get your name trademark. We might need to put money away for that, different trips that we might need to take. So just all kinds of things that the manager could have in their mind to do, but if there's no financial to do it, then that's going to hinder a lot of different things. So, okay, so the contracts and the agreements. The term of the contract is going to define how long the contract is valid for before renewal or termination. That is essentially up to the artist and the manager. For me, I typically do a 2-year contract, and then of course at the end of the 2 years, if you want to renew, we renew. For me, as far as the termination, I hold no one. If you want to terminate, if you sign today and you want to terminate tomorrow, that's perfectly fine. If you sign today, you want to terminate in 3 months, that's perfectly fine. I'm holding no one to anything like that. But you want to make sure that when you sign your contract, the first thing before you sign it, make sure you understand everything in it. And even if you're not going over it with that said manager, maybe you have a lawyer. Even if you're hiring like a legal services, like a legal shield or something like that, where you just have that lawyer that you can go to say, here's this contract. Can you review it with me and help me understand each and every section of it? It's very important that you understand the contract before you sign it, any contract. The commission percentages, again, we spoke about this, that we typically take 10 to 20% of an artist's earnings. You want to make sure that that's clearly spelled out in your contract so that that's understood. The duties and responsibilities is going to outline what the manager is responsible for and what falls outside of their role. The termination clause is going to specify how each party can end the contract if necessary. And the financial transparency is going to clearly define who's going to handle the money and how the financials are handled. Um, is it going to go? Okay. All right. So when we talk about working with venues and bookings, you want to make sure as a manager and artist together as a team, you want to make sure that you're keeping things professional. You want to keep a polite approach with the venue owners. making sure that you build those positive relationships because it's going to increase your chance for those future bookings and even for even the referrals. They will refer you out for bookings and things like that, or even for things like this. Nick and I worked together on an event before, and he hired me for this. So, um, just having those relationships are very important, just for the manager and the artist across the board. You want to make sure that you're honoring the contracts and the agreements, that you're staying reliable to maintain those strong maintain that strong industry reputation. In this industry, reputation is everything, really, to be honest, because it's so big, but it's so small. Everybody knows everybody. It's it's really, really not that big of an industry once you get into it and once you start meeting people, you will realize that most of the people are all connected in one way or another on each level, from the independent level to the major level. It's all the connections some way or somehow. So keeping that reputation is real important. You want to make sure you have a good reputation just for being especially a reliable person when it comes down to handling your business across the board. You want to make sure with the venues that you're clear about your tech and your hospitality riders. That's gonna be the requirements for your sound, your lighting, and any hospitality needs, be it any food or drinks or any allergies, or even if it's a deal where you get a venue or somebody that books you and you get to dress up your dressing room the way you want it. You want to make sure all those specs are in there so that they know exactly what you're expecting and what you would like to have when you arrive. The managers always want to make sure that we're following up on the payments and logistics and make sure that the payments are timely and that the operations are smooth so that we avoid any conflicts. We want to maintain those good relationships for future bookings. I guess I said that before. Okay. Okay. And then how the venues are going to work with the managers. We want to make sure as far as the bookings for the artists that the managers are always the preferred point of contact. It just kind of makes it easier and a more structured booking process. The artists a lot of times are all over the place. They won't remember things. The manager should be the one that's more organized and more in line and making sure that everything is going the way that it should go. So they should always be your point of contact for anything when it comes to the bookings and the artists. You want to make sure that any business discussions, that the performance fees, the contract terms, and making sure that both sides are honoring those agreements, that's all done with the manager. Any event promotions and coordinations, that should all be done by the manager. I pretty much always assist my artists, or try to. I stay on them. I give them all the captions and the pictures and say, here, all you need to do is post it. Now, a lot of times that could be the tricky part, is actually getting them to post it. I haven't gotten to where I'm taking control of the socials to do those kind of things. Now, Facebook, I control the Facebook socials, so I do a lot of those postings, but when it comes down to like Instagram, it's kind of hard to get those in my hands. So, but they are pretty good. A lot of times, I'll ask them to like schedule the postings and things like that just to make sure that they're promoting the 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 said event. And then we want to the artist or the manager is always the one that you reach out to as the venue for ticket sales and any media outreach. The manager is going to be the person to coordinate all of that stuff. The manager serves as the go-to person for resolving any last minute issues, from any sound checks to or scheduling adjustments or anything like that. It's the manager, the manager, the manager. Let's see, is it? Okay. All right. So, tips for a smooth working relationship, you want to make sure that expectations are clearly set from the start, where you define the roles and the goals to prevent any misunderstandings. You want to have regular, clear up updates and check-ins with your artist and with your manager so that you're making sure that everything is progressing the way that it should be. Me, I like to have at least a bi-weekly meeting with my artists individually and I do a monthly team meeting with everybody collectively. Um, and then you want to make sure that you're honest about your goals and concerns. Again, that transparency would help build that trust and strengthen that partnership. If you're not transparent about things, then how's the manager to know what they are to do or what they should be doing or what you would like to see them do better? I just told this to my artist, like, is there anything? Because no one has said anything. Like, so you're telling me that I'm doing everything the way that you would like to see it done? Like, come on. So like the next meeting one on one, everybody think of something. It's got to be something. So just being transparent and just me as the manager letting them know that they can be transparent with me like that is also important because a lot of times um, the artist may not, for whatever reason, yet feel comfortable enough with the manager to let them know the things that they're really feeling. So, if you open that door and let them know that they can talk to you about different things as the manager, then I think that helps. Handling any disputes, if they are any, make sure that you're just calm and handle everything professionally. It's very crucial for that long-term success. Arguments or disagreements, I would say, might happen. Things may not always go the way as as they are planned to go, or you may get a little frustrated with different things, but just knowing how to have those crucial conversations are very important, and not always being so combative and argumentative, and just again knowing how to have the conversation itself. It's just about a conversation. It's not about arguing or you said this or I said that or you did this. It's not about that. It's just about the conversation. Here's what's happening. Here's what I would like to see happen. Do you think that we can work on that? Simple. Have a backup plan in case certain things don't work out. Always have a backup plan for everything. I think that the B plan is very important because sometimes things don't go the way that you plan them to go. So as long as you have that backup plan, and that comes in line with having a business plan altogether. As an artist and your business, as an artist, you are a business, and you should think of yourself that way. So having that business plan will help you create backup plans with certain things. So you just want to make sure that backup plans are always in place. And then I'm coming to my recap here. Basically, a good manager can help you elevate your career. You want to make sure that you choose the right manager. Like I said in the beginning of this, I'm completely obsessed with my artists, and I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. I don't know sometimes if that's good or bad, but I love every single thing about every one of my artists. I would change nothing about any of them at this moment. Um, we've all grown together. I really love that. They've trusted in me. This last was 2 years that we've been together, and just having them trust in me means a whole lot to me. And it's always just been a goal of mine to see somebody off to the next level of their career. So just me being passionate about what I do, period, and then having the artist that just fuels that passion really helps. And I think if you have a manager that's like that, it's better. You don't want the manager that's money driven. You want the manager that's willing to grow with you and willing to teach you certain things, and that's just going to be there with you, and not just, okay, I did this, I did that, we're not going anywhere, I'm on to the next. It's a process and you have to trust it on both ends. So, and I just stated, you find somebody who believes in your vision. It's not about the manager. It's always about the artist. So the manager is supposed to help you bring your vision to life. And if they're not passionate about doing that, then that's probably not the right person. You want to make sure, as I stated before, that there's a solid contract in place so that everybody ensures that we know what we're doing here, what my job is, what your job is, and that we're transparent on everything, making sure that the communication is there and that we're staying professional with each other and building that trust and just knowing that success comes from that strong partnership. And that strong partnership is going to lead to that long-term growth. And that's my take on working with artist managers on both ends.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carita. That's fantastic. You said a whole bunch of things that I couldn't ask you about. But first, I'd like to open it up to the other members of the Zoom meeting here. I'm sure some of our guests have some questions.
I have one if I could start.
Of course. And
Okay, I'm Caitlin. So I'm wondering if you might have advice. So I heard like having a manager who has industry connections obviously helps you advance your career, but also having someone like a friend that you can tap who's really passionate about your career could be maybe the right move. Um, what kind of advice would you have for someone? Because a lot of the friends that I would have that I would tap have day jobs. It's like kind of like how can they make those connections that would help me advance my career? Or like, do you have tips for where to start with that? Attending the Econ Summit obviously is going to be an awesome start. But other tips, things like that I could maybe encourage someone to try.
online, there are so many different resources online. Um, whew. One of my favorite go-tos to tell everybody, even before they start with the networking, to teach themselves a lot of the ins and outs. Song
Mhm.
Trust, are you familiar with Song Trust?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. So the publishing administration, they have a learn tab or resources tab on on their website. They have so many different resources that you can learn from there. But LinkedIn, I
Okay.
would create a LinkedIn profile and I would just follow artist manager, music supervisor, record label executives. Follow them and look through their network and follow them too.
Yeah.
Of course, the different is so many different conferences. Lord, the conferences in this music industry, they are overwhelming. You need like $1 million just to go to all the conferences.
Yeah.
Things like South by Southwest is a really, really good one. Um, oh gosh, okay. There's this artist managers forum. Oh God.
Oh,
Okay.
on Facebook.
No, it's not on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay, because I get a lot of emails from Manager Forum .us.
Okay.
I'm
Cool.
gonna have to look it up. Okay, if you want to maybe share your information with me, I can look that up. And
Sure. Thank you.
there's another really good resource. Art. Oh, I'm not gonna do this today. Artists. Okay, hold on. Let me look this up. This is crazy. I draw a blank sometimes, you guys.
That's
Me
okay.
too. It's okay.
And while you're looking it up, I'm just going to throw in another plug for the Music Econ Summit because, as Caitlin mentioned, that is a place where you can kind of rub elbows with other people in the music industry. And I also want to point out that it is an incredibly affordable event. That your Karita is absolutely right. A lot of these industry conferences, the registration is thousands of dollars, and then you got to get a hotel, plus you got to fly there, And we want to bring that energy to Michigan and make this more accessible for our community. And thanks to our sponsors, we're able to keep the costs incredibly low this year. So, and also Carita will be there at the Music Econ Summit as well.
I will. I'm looking forward to it. Smartest You. That's specifically for artist managers, and they have a lot of tools and resources in there. There's a lot of free. When I first started this, I'm gonna tell you, I jumped off the bridge, especially I knew all along that this is what I was destined to do. I knew that. But I worked at the radio station for a while and I had a kid and I got a paying job offer, right? I was interning at the radio station. Once I got the paying job offer, it was like, oh, I gotta go. Unfortunately, I hate I did that, but it's like I didn't really learn a lot about the business at that moment. I learned a lot about production and this and that at that moment. So when I was asked to do music supervision, I didn't know what to do. Mm, I didn't know what to do. I knew that I could pick the music easy, yeah. But I thought as the filmmaker, I thought the filmmaker would be able to teach me what I really needed to know, and he didn't know what to do. So, my first film was a beautiful disaster, because all the legals were horrible, right? I just wrote a letter like, "Can I use your song?" Like to the wrong person, to the artist, to the wrong person, not knowing, right? So once I did that and I loved it, it's like, oh, I really got to learn this business. And oh, Grammy, the Grammy, if you go on like the Grammy Museum, they have different free webinars. They have like a free class, a music business class, music production. I did that. Um, there are so many different things that you can do for free. Okay, let's talk about that. There's YouTube. I'm not a fan of YouTube, to be honest, but I've become one because I have understood now the educational piece to YouTube. So you find different organizations, even BMI or whatever your PRO, your performance rights organization is, go there, go to all their resources, go to whatever events they have. I know sometimes they're in New York, but trust me, it's worth it. Even with the networking, do things like that. Ugh. Oh, at the moment when I first started this, Clubhouse was a thing, right? Ooh, Clubhouse was like Jack the Rapper in my hands. I don't know how old you guys are, but Jack the Rapper was like the biggest music convention when I was young. I was so mad that I couldn't go with my mom. I was too young. I never got to go. But I just remember always hearing about it and I just always wanted to go. So Clubhouse to me was like that because everybody was right there. You just got to find the people and don't be scared to reach out to people and ask questions. It may not be that I want something from you. I just want to ask questions about what you do and how you got to where you are and can you help me with some other resources? That's worst they could say is no.
Yeah, I agree. That's the worst that can happen is that actually that is the worst thing as I say is no. Sometimes they just don't respond at all, and that's pretty common in this industry as well. But speaking of questions, do we have more questions?
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, I was just curious about the different genres of the artists that you manage, Karita.
So for me, it's only been R&B and hip hop.
Okay. Hmm.
That's it. I think that's where my um specialty lies. I'm learning to learn more about other genres, but
Hmm.
that is definitely my specialty.
Where are you based? I forgot.
I'm in Detroit.
Oh, you are in Detroit. Okay. Hmm. Is there is there like so I'm in a different genre. I play hard rock and heavy metal in a band and so we've over the last couple of years we figured out the venues and sites that host our type of music is but I honestly I'm not familiar with hip hop and R&B and I'm curious like is there like the go-to places that you want your artists to perform or circuit or um
I'm not everywhere. I want
mhm.
everybody to know my artists.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm not opposed to mixing them in with a different genre or anything like that.
Hmm.
I'm completely open to it.
Hmm.
Because then to me, that opens their artistic vision to different things, right?
Hmm.
Oh, who knows? My artist might want to come back and make a rock song. I'm open to it. I want
Hmm.
to that. I went to, well, it was the NFL, the draft event.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
I cannot remember the name of this group, but ooh, they opened my eyes.
Mm. Hmm.
I I I had never really paid attention. I never really had been to a rock show or a metal show or anything like that,
Hmm.
but I was walking through and they were playing and I had to stop. I'm like, wait a minute. And I stood there the whole hour and completely enjoyed these guys. Like, okay, I gotta dig into this and I need to do more of these shows and attend
Hmm.
more and like see what's really going on because I was like floored, like in it,
Cool.
and dig this. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm digging it. I like it. Yeah, especially for like for me for sync rock and that metal is a good genre to go to for sync. That's a lot of what I use. I like to go to that for sync.
Hmm. Hmm.
I do listen to it a little bit. I'm just not real versed on it. Couldn't
Yeah.
tell you artists by far.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Do we have any more questions? George, do you have a question? Okay, I saw you pulled on camera there. I thought maybe that was it. Hope, how about you? Any questions?
Um, no questions, but just a comment, like with you guys talking about rock music and like with R&B artists. The song that popped up in my head was Hip Hop Star by Beyonce
Mm.
and Outkast, and I was like, that's the first example I thought about. That's all.
Beyonce is a great example because Beyonce is trying to do everything.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's like a great example of being like an artist and not being like bound by genre or whatever, but like really exploring what an artist can be. So,
Agreed. Agreed. 100%. Can't really deny that.
right. Well, once again, I want to say thanks to everybody for joining us here at the B-side session here. This has been great, and I also want to remind everybody that we've got the Music Econ Summit coming up April 11 through 13. Carita Miller will be at the Music Econ Summit doing another and different presentation. I'm putting her to work here, so. But the reason for that is that I can see how hard that she is working and how hard she works for her artists. And I love what you said about it's a relationship. It's a relationship between the manager and the artist. It's a partnership. It's not I work for you or you work for me, that we work together for a goal. And a large part of that goal is building relationships in the community, going through venues and other artists as well. So I love how much that you had to share with us tonight, and I'm looking forward to having you again at the Music Econ Summit here in Grand Rapids coming up in April. Also, before we wrap things up, I want to let people know that we've got one more B-side session coming up on uh, April 8th. We'll be talking about working with booking agents. So that's kind of the other piece of this puzzle. And we'll talk both about working with booking agents that do booking for artists and also working with booking agents that run uh, agencies as well as venues. So we're going to cover both sides of that conversation with KDK Wrangles. And KDK will also be at the Music Econ Summit April 11 through 13 at the Grand Rapids Center for Community Transformation. So we'll see you all at the next B-side session on April 8th, and also we'll see you at the Music Econ Summit on April 11 through 13. And once again, thank you, Carita.
Of course, it's been my pleasure completely.
All right. And thanks to all of our participants here on Zoom. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you
All right,
guys.
thanks.
Thank you. Bye.